Hey guys, it's Dennis here with Collider Games. I'm also joined by.
Josh Weyers, all the way in South Africa.
No, I thought we were in the same office. I
Oh,
thought.
oh, you know what? I lied actually.
This
No,
is
actually,
it. This
Dennis,
is.
you're visiting me, right? Because you're getting
Yeah.
sick of the heat over there. You wanted some of this cold I'm experiencing.
Yeah. But yeah. Apparently we're in some alternate, you know, reality where there's no COVID and we're all in the same
Hmm.
office space, working together. But anyways, back to our regular reality. Games news. A lot of big game news coming out, especially the Xbox Series S, which it kind of leaked, I think, on Monday, and then they did kind of an official announcement on, or sorry, it leaked on Sunday, and I think the official announcement came out on Monday as a result. I think they had planned on releasing that information next week, so it was just maybe like a week early that they had to like come out with it. But anyways, they announced the Xbox Series S, which is the cheaper Xbox next generation console. It's $299. It's a lot smaller. They said it's the smallest Xbox ever. Um, and they showed off the design. Me and Dorian did a video on it, which we got some flack about it, which I'll talk about in a little bit because I haven't fully changed my mind about it, but I have softened a little to it. What are your thoughts about the announcement? You know, we got the November 10th release date, which is obviously going to be the Series X release date as well. But are you excited for Xbox Series S? And what do you think
Um,
about the price, design, all that good stuff?
I think this, like, dude, if they didn't do this, because I'm thinking of like just the lack of launch titles that they have, and just I just it's sad, but I just don't see them winning the next console war. So they kind of had to do this, and my reaction, at least as far as I can tell from the general reaction of people across the world, is it's a good thing. It's fairly positive. Look, for $300, which is a brand new PS4 right now, a brand new PS4 costs you about $299. You know what I mean? You can get yourself the slim ones that are like have a terabyte hard drive for $300. But or you can get yourself the same price, and it's gonna be like it's gonna. I mean, look, it's got ray tracing. For $300, I was not expecting ray tracing. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
That's that that's unheard of. Like it has ray trace, or it has RTX support. I don't know how well it's gonna handle it
Yeah.
exactly, but dude, like for that price, I mean, I think it's a killer idea. Consider, yes, you're not getting like the full experience, but at the same time, like this year has been difficult for everyone financially, and the release is honestly like the end of the year's around the corner. You know what I mean? Like November
Mhm.
10th, that's soon. So that's
That's
and then I
a
check here
little
that
over
there's
2 months from now.
yeah, and then I see there's like a price plan. You can do a payment plan of $25 a month, which is
That's
also
what's
like
changed. That's what's changed. It softened me a little bit on this because I was a little critical, not of the announcement, not of the price, not of the design, just the fact, and we'll get into it in a little bit about the not many exclusive games for the Xbox. Um, but yeah, tied into the whole all access thing, I think it softened my stance a little bit in terms of the
yeah.
purchasing of this.
I will say that the hard drive space is a little lacking. I mean, yes, you're getting a solid state drive, so it's going to be faster, but like 512 gigs is nothing for next gen games. If you think about space, because you're gonna have to have a minimum of about 50 gigs free just to keep it running smoothly. And for like, and considering most games need about that much free space for updates so it can reinstall itself properly. Like I know on my PS4, I have to have a minimum of about 47 gigs free just so I have that free space in order to update certain games. But yeah, 512 gigs, not a lot of space. But once again, for that price, it's understandable, you know. And if you have good internet, then it's not the end of the world, like having to download an 80 gig game over a weekend or something, you know.
Mm.
Um, yeah, size wise, looks it's. I mean, obviously, I'm looking at it complete right now, directly compared to the Series X, and it is. I do like it. Like
Mhm.
it's seeing them next to each other. It's funny because I liked the Xbox Series X design, and now I don't like the Series X. I don't like the design. It's just too square for me. It's too cube, you know. But I like this. It looks more like a game console. The Series S at least, you know.
Mhm.
You know, I think it's a win for them. Genuinely, I think it's a win for them. You know, they're gonna make some money with this because it's, unl- My question is, do you think that PlayStation's going to do something similar? Because
I
I
think it's too
would.
late. It's
Do you
too
think
late.
it's you're right. It's 2 months to go.
It's too
Yeah.
late. This thing has been designed for a long time. So unless Sony PlayStation got secret leaked info and they had like some insider working at Microsoft that was feeding them info, they wouldn't have known that this was coming. And so they probably most likely made, and from all the kind of visuals that we've seen, is that the PS5 has their regular version that is probably going to be $499, and then they have a disc-less version that's the same GPU, same CPU, same insides, just no disc. What is it going to be? $449, $399 is probably the lowest it's going to go. There's no way they could get it under $399 for that. So no, they have to, and I want to get into that some more. Is like they're stuck on their course, right? Which, because they won the last generation or the current generation, it's less harmful to them. You know what I mean? Like if they were like in Xbox's position where they had lost the previous console war, it would be a much bigger issue, not being able to compete on price. But because they did win, and you have a bigger installed base, it's not as detrimental. I mean, let's compare the Xbox Series S specs to the Xbox Series X. The S doesn't have the optical drive, which we know. The RAM is 10 gigs, 10 gigs instead of 16. So the memory bandwidth is less. The CPU is the same, but the GPU is not. So you're doing 4 teraflops instead of 12 teraflops. You're looking at 1440p versus 4K. I mean, there's 4K support, but it's through upscaling. Playback is fine.
Yeah.
But it's not going to hit the, what supposedly the native 4K, 8K support up to 120 frames per second, the Xbox Series X. So you're not getting, and the storage thing, I think the storage thing might be the biggest thing that might keep me from getting the S versus the X eventually. Because
I just thought of another reason as to why the S could do well. That's just based off the fact that not everyone has a 4K screen yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yes.
So that's like
including
one of the
myself.
things, including myself as well. That's one of the things that's kind of stopping me from getting a next gen console on launch. It's just especially like in terms of refresh rate and in terms of resolution. I just feel like I'm not going to see I'm not going to get that next gen feel on the screen that I'm currently using. That's why I'm not going to get one at launch. But dude, yeah, like the space is limited, and also what an odd number of RAM. Like that's usually you don't see 10 gigs of RAM. Like usually it's like it's always like even numbers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like 8 or 10 or so. I was like, that's a weird number. First of all,
I mean, it's even, but it's just not. It's usually like 6, 8, 12.
Yeah, it goes in
16.
twos usually. Yeah.
They don't do 10.
But it's also so yeah, it has ray tracing support, but with 10 gigs of RAM, like how good is that going to be? You know what I mean? Like it's not going to do control with ray tracing, as far as I can tell. Or it might, but it'll struggle.
They also released some gameplay footage, screenshots, which they're all work in progress. They look good. Like I said, and goes with the PS5 footage and any of the Xbox Series X stuff. At this point it's just launching. This is not the full potential capacity of the graphics of this next generation. You know what I mean? It looks better than this current one, right? But we're not looking at something that's drastically. It's like comparing, like I mentioned before, I bought Witcher 3 last year. It's the same console generation as something like Last of Us Part 2 or Ghost of Tsushima. Look at the graphics on those versus Witcher 3. Not that the Witcher 3 graphics are terrible or anything like that, but you can tell that, that's early in the generation, this is later. And so that's why like me upgrading to the next generation is more dependent on the actual exclusive games versus the graphics capabilities going, higher. Like I don't, like you said, like you don't have 4K TV. I don't. I have the monitor I have right now is a 1440, so the S does work with that. My issue though is Well, there's a couple things. One you mentioned, which is the 512 storage, which if you're keeping 50 gigs free, you have like 400 something, let's say 400 gigs. Some games are like 100 gigs, you know what I mean? A lot of games nowadays are 80 to 100 gigs big.
That's the
So you're
average
talking
now
about
for AAA.
So you're talking about only being able to have 4 games at a time on there, and then you got to delete one, install another one, delete another one, install another one. You know what I mean? You got to play this kind of this game of like whatchamacallit, like musical chairs.
Yeah.
with your games to play them. And then the second thing is that whatchamacallit, what was I going to say?
Well, it has external support, which is good. Because then you can always have like your smaller like indie games on your external, because you won't have the SSD.
The problem with that though is the external. If you're gonna buy, like, let's say, I think they have like a place to insert, like, let's say, a extra SSD or whatever, then you're paying, let's say, $100 to $200 for that external, right?
That's true, yeah.
Well, then you're getting to Xbox Series X price, right? $200 more, that's an Xbox Series X. So let's say hypothetically the external drive is $100 to $150. You're getting pretty close to that price.
Yeah, that's true. I was about to say, because for like, I mean, the last time I checked, about $200 is going to get you a 500 gig. If you're like around that price, you're going to get yourself a 500 gig SSD anyways. So literally, like, you got a good point. You may as well get a Series X at that point, altogether running better. Yeah, I think this is a good move on their half. Like, there's a market for this. There's going to be a lot of people getting the Xbox Series S, and pre-orders start in 10 days from now. So I feel like we're going to actually, we'll definitely be able to see in about 2 weeks from now, 2 podcasts from now, we'll be able to see what those initial pre-order numbers are like, because I'm going to be curious just to see what I mean, I know the Series X is going to get pre-orders, but I want to know how many pre-orders in comparison the Series S is going to have over the Series X,
Yeah. And so the thing that has made me soften, though, that makes me think, I guess, more positively about the Xbox Series S is the announcement of the Xbox All Access deal, where you're not footing the full amount up front, and you're just paying in monthly installments for 2 years. And but the I guess the thing to it is that you're paying for All Access, the Game Pass as well. It's just you're getting it for a cheaper price. So all in all, if you pay for the monthly plan, which I think is $25 a month for 2 years, you're basically paying, I think, $240 for the console instead of $300.
And also, if you think about it, Xbox Game Pass Ultimate is $15 a month. So if you already have that, just for an extra $10 a month, you can get yourself the Series S. You know what I mean?
Yes, but there's less of a discount there with it, because I think it ultimately only ends up being like $10 cheaper if you do the All Access for the Series X.
Oh, is it? I thought it was only available for the Series S. That's amazing, actually.
No, it's for both.
That's really good, yeah.
But
ultimately, it's $35 a month for the Series X.
Yeah, but ultimately, when if you pay 2 years worth of Game Pass, Ultimate Game Pass, plus the cost of the Xbox Series X, you're only saving, I think, $10 at the end of it. Where with the Series S, you're actually saving $60. So
yeah, and I mean, it's worth. We'll talk about this later as well, but it's worth tying it in now, which is the fact that, in my opinion, Xbox Game Pass Ultimate just became, well, it's going to, as of the end of this year, it's going to become way more worth it, because it's getting tied in with EA Access, or EA Play, is what they're calling it now. Yeah, they're linking the two together.
Yeah, which makes sense, because I don't know how many people have EA Play, but it doesn't sound like
I have both.
People.
I have Game Pass. I have Game Pass for PC, and I have EA Play, and it's
What's
funny
actually
because
on EA Play though? That's the thing. Is what
here's the thing:
because
it's not
they're
working
not
on
going to
its
release
own.
they're not going to release like Madden 2020,
Oh,
or 2021,
they did. Oh,
whatever.
they did. I believe they did actually, or they're going to. I know, like,
You
because
have
it's.
full game on launch.
I believe so, unless they were just advertising it heavily within the Origin app because I pay for the monthly thing now. But the issue with the EA Play is that it's like it has a lot of games to offer, but the majority of them are like older versions, like for instance Madden 19, Madden 18, Madden 17. You know what I mean? Like you're not going to be playing the previous 5 versions of FIFA or Madden, etc. So they don't have that much options that you would think. I have both Xbox Game Pass and EA Play because they're both, in my opinion, lacking in terms of play title. Look, Game Pass is great, but Game Pass for PC is it's getting better. I think it's worth it, but it's definitely going to be a lot better in the future. Um, I'm very happy with both because I get a lot of games to play with both, but I'm only playing like about 3 or 4 games on each one. That's why having them tied together makes a lot of sense to me. I'm not going to get Xbox Game Pass Ultimate because I'm still saving money technically doing the two separately. I'm paying $5 for each, so $10 a month. So I'm not going to pay an extra $5 just to link the two because the rest
Well,
of the
that's
Xbox, yeah,
because
the
you
rest of
don't
the
have an
Xbox stuff, yeah.
Xbox.
So exactly, so I can't use it. So for now, I'm just gonna keep them separate. You know what I mean? Which makes sense to me. But I mean, like, I think you don't get maybe I don't know if you get to play games on launch, but you get to play games pretty soon. Like I've been giving Anthem a retry. By the way, decided to give that a. I've been enjoying it, but it's still very repetitive, kind of like Destiny 2. But I played Need for Speed Heat on EA Play. Need for Speed Heat is great. You can get yourself Titanfall 2. A couple things on there. Main reason for my main reason for going for EA Play is that they have all the Command and Conquer games on there, old school. So you can just play all of them. A lot of old games like that. But yeah, EA Play is lacking for sure in terms of how much games it has.
Well,
Like
they don't have the library. They don't
exactly,
have
yeah,
the
they
library.
don't. Yeah,
Even they're
it's
a huge company, they just don't have as big a library.
yeah, they have it on. You can get it on Steam as well, but it's weird because if you get EA Play on Steam, like if you get it on Steam instead of Origin, which is just a separate launcher, you have less of a library to pick from. If you use their launcher, you get a bigger library. So be careful where you buy your EA Play subscription. Um,
Yeah.
and then you also have to have it separately. Like it doesn't carry over. That's the stupid thing about it. Like EA Play, if you have it on PC, as far as I know, there's no way to like link your account to EA Play on PlayStation. You'd have to get another EA Play account and pay like another monthly subscription fee, which is stupid. That's the one
Well,
thing
I
Xbox
mean,
Game Pass has over it.
yeah. Um, ultimately, I feel like even Game Pass, the reason why it's a good deal is because Microsoft was able to get a bunch of games from a lot of different studios in there. It's not just Xbox exclusives, because if it was
Exactly.
just
Yeah.
Xbox exclusives, it would be pretty, limited. They were able to get other, like I think Fallout's on there, a bunch of other games plus their exclusive stuff. It's the thing about it is with this all access plan, I think it's a really good deal. It's something maybe I'd consider doing. I'm just not sure. First of all, when I'm gonna get an Xbox, because I don't think I'm gonna get one at launch. Just because there isn't anything exclusive that I need to get on there, right?
Yeah.
That's the thing, is like they haven't created yet the games that like, oh, I need to play that and it's only available on the Xbox. I mean, later on they will, but right now they don't. So I think that's kind of the biggest issue, and so I don't want to pay for the System Plus Ultimate Game Pass when I don't have anything on
Yeah.
there that like I have to play right now when I are already full with tons of games for other things. I mean, to be fair, PS5, I always mention this too. They don't have a ton of exclusives yet either, but a little bit more. I mean, at least they have the Spider-Man Miles Morales game. I think Godfall also.
Yeah.
Just a little bit more. I mean, either way, both next gen consoles that are launching this year, while on the technological side are very appealing, on the game side, it doesn't blow anyone away that like you have to
Yeah.
get the latest system.
I think not until early next year is there going to be like a point where you're going to need to get the next console. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like maybe around like March next year. That's when it's going to start getting to a point where okay, you need to get that next gen console.
Mm.
You know, we're going to have to see how support goes for the current gen consoles right now. But I mean, look, I would 100%. I would actually go for the Series S.
Mm-hmm.
The just because the pricing seems like 30. It's weird how like I know it's only a $10 difference between
Yeah.
$25 a month and $35 a month, but I feel like I can live with $25 a month like
Eh,
happily. $35 a month, I could do it, but I'd be thinking about it each month I have to pay it. You know what I mean? And I'd worry about it.
yeah.
So it's weird how like it kind of I would do it if it was available in my if all access was available in my country, I would do it. Unfortunately, not available here. But yeah, if I was in America, dude.
Yet. They said they're
Yet.
still working on other countries.
We'll see, because I mean, it's got UK at Game. We have Game here as well, so I'm gonna
Oh.
assume eventually that they're going to also like Walmart owns all of our big stores out here in South
Mhm.
Africa, so hopefully they can pull some strings across there. But dude, I would do it $25 a month because you're gonna. I'm assuming obviously it's because you're gonna get your console right away, right? You're gonna get your
Yes.
Series S, and then as soon as you plug in and play, you're gonna have Fallout 76. You're gonna have like
Yes.
Gears of War
Yeah.
5. You're gonna have all these Outer Worlds. You're gonna have all these like games to play on it, like loaded, good to go.
It's a
It's a
great
great
deal.
deal.
I'm not saying other people should be excited or whatnot. I'm just saying I think I think it's going to be an even better deal more than six, I don't know, 6 months to a year from now, when you have all those games that
But you'll be a quarter
supposedly
paid
are
off by then
coming
if you
on.
do it now.
Huh?
You'll be a quarter paid off by then if you think about it. If you
Yeah,
do
but
it
then
sooner.
you're essentially paying for Ultimate Game Pass though,
Yeah,
and you may not be using it. Like I know
true.
personally,
Yeah,
like if I
unless you have a
got it,
PC
like
like me or someone. Yeah,
I mean I have a PC too, but what I'm saying is I wouldn't be getting my money's worth out of Ultimate Game Pass until they start launching Avowed, Outer
yeah.
Worlds 2, whatever this quadruple A
I
studio,
mean,
the
you'll
initiative is making.
you'll have EA Play as well if you think about it. So it's one of those things where that's also what I think about because I do like I don't know about Madden, but I know for a fact that you get the next FIFA 2021 like on launch when you get it if you have EA Play. I think if you have EA Play Pro, you can play the game before it even comes out. Like same with Xbox Game Pass, you can play the game 10 days before it comes out. But you do get like the newest EA titles on launch because I know you get to play the FIFA 21 when it comes out on launch. So it's like I mean that for a lot of people who are into those I would tell people to get EA Play if you like FIFA. If you think like if you get EA Play for the year, if you buy it like just not EA Play Pro but just the plain EA Play for a year, I think it's like $25 or something. It's that's half the price of the game. You know what I mean? That's half the price of the new FIFA 21 or whatever. And that's like your money saved. You're only going to play the game for a year until the next one comes out. So it's cheaper, and then you get the whole library with it. So I keep telling people to do that because you're spending less anyways. You know?
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's a great deal. I think it's a good move by Microsoft and Xbox. It'd be, like I said, even better deal if they had more of those exclusive games now,
Mhm.
than later on. I'll think about what I'm gonna do, whether I'll buy S or X, and when I'm gonna buy it. Yeah, it's funny when we put out that video, like people were, keep telling me like, "Hey, stop saying you're Microsoft fanboy." It's like, dude, it's like you don't know. Like I own, first of all my computers. The only computer that wasn't Windows that I ever bought was I bought an Apple MacBook Pro once, and guess what I stuck on it?
What?
I stuck Windows on it. I used Windows on it.
That's
Okay,
amazing.
all my computers have been Windows. I've bought the Surface Pro 2, the Surface Pro 3, the Surface Book. I have a Surface keyboard. I have the Surface Dial. I have a Microsoft mouse pad. I have a Microsoft mug. Like, don't tell
It's
me.
crazy though because when people say that,
I've owned the Xbox 360, the Xbox One. Like, don't tell me I'm not a Microsoft fanboy, and that just because I'm telling you an unbiased opinion about where the Xbox is compared to the PlayStation in this current generation, and like it doesn't make any sense. And also I read one comment that it mentioned, like, because we were talking about all these like exclusive narrative games, right, and these big cinematic games, like we're talking about Last of Us Part 2, Part 1, Ghost of Tsushima, et cetera, and they said not everyone loves those games, and there's a lot more casual gamers too. And I'm like, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the reason why the PlayStation won this generation is because they had those games. And the proof is in the pudding. Look at the numbers. The PlayStation outsold the Xbox by a lot. Why? Because they had the same games, the same big third-party games that Xbox had, and then they had these larger AAA title games that were exclusive to their platform, and that's why they won the generation. I'm not saying Xbox or Microsoft can't do that. It's just that they're lagging behind, and hopefully in this next generation they will.
Good. You know, just like you said, if you look at the numbers, if you look at the announcements, like Halo got delayed, or if you look at just everything that's kind of happened, like it's not looking good for them. So that's why I do think that the Series S is gonna do good numbers for them. I just considered myself heavily in my head. I would rather get the Series S than the Series X because it's Microsoft. I know for a fact that the higher end, the most AAA games from that's going to be exclusive, I can just play on my PC as well. You know what I mean? And currently my PC is it's slightly better than a next gen console in terms of what's inside of it, hardware. So I'd rather get the Series S just to play more for like when I'm more in like a couch console kind of mood. You know what I mean? But yeah, no, I think like if I had the luxury and privilege of getting two consoles, I would get the Series S, and then I'd get myself the disc version of the PS4. I mean the PS5. But yeah, at the end of the day, I think the best thing to say about Xbox is that the console's great, but the games are not. Currently, that's just the way it is.
Well,
console's looking great, games not so much.
It's not the game, and it's not the game quality; it's the game amount.
Exactly.
In terms of exclusives. Because all in all, like all those third-party games are pretty much the same. You know what I mean? Like one of my favorite games of all time, Red Dead Redemption. It's pretty much the same game on the PS4 as the Xbox One. You know what I mean? There's no real difference. I think if you have this, not the Series X, but the Xbox One X, Red Dead Redemption 2 has the best graphics on there. But it's the difference isn't so vast that you're like, oh my god, this looks like shit on the PS5 Pro or something like that.
Yeah,
doesn't really matter. Slight note, before we wrap this topic, Assassin's Creed Valhalla moves up 1 week to match the Xbox Series XS launch.
Oh yes, I remember that. That's smart.
Makes sense. They want people to have launch titles, even if it's not exclusive to that console. If they want to make it available to people who want to play that day one on there. So, anyways, yeah, this is going to be an ongoing thing. I mean, Sony technically still hasn't confirmed their pricing, but now that Microsoft has, I'm pretty sure they will.
Yeah, I think they're going to match it
week after.
I think they're going to have to match it. Like,
they don't have to. $2.99. They're not matching $2.99.
No, not $2.99. But they're going to match. They're going to match $4.99.
$4.99. Yeah.
They're going to match that 100%. They were just waiting to pull the trigger. I mean, look, as far as I can tell, like from last year when we were looking at leaks in terms of the console specs from last year, like they were already saying the cost to manufacture was going to be $470. So to this point, we haven't seen anybody dispute that leak, you know what I mean? Or say that that's a fake or whatever. So it just made sense to me, you know what I mean? To make it $4.99. Or like, I thought that they may have even made it a little bit cheaper just to like outdo Xbox, but now they don't have to, in my opinion. I don't think Sony's scared at all. No. I think they're chill. They're coasting.
Yeah. I think they may be a little worried about their digital version though, being that much higher. Probably at a $3.99, $4.49 price point versus a $2.99. Yeah.
I would be worried about this access thing, just the whole payment plan thing. I mean, look, most third-party sellers are like most distributors are going to give you payment plans payment plan options. Like Best Buy will most likely have like a monthly payment plan that you can do for your next gen console. But I don't know if it's going to be that good priced. You know what I mean? I know, well, if it's going to include, it wouldn't. For instance, it's not
It
going to
wouldn't include the
Game
discount.
Pass. Exactly. Yeah, it's not
Yeah,
going to include
and
the
also it
discount
wouldn't
or the
include the
games or
discount.
anything.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so we'll keep our eye on that, and yeah, and see what happens. All right. Next thing, Ubisoft Forward. They had another one, where I think it wasn't as big as the first one. I think the two main things that they announced were the Prince of Persia: Sands of Time remake and the Far Cry VR. Prince of Persia: Sands of Time remake. I played that game, the original. I think it was 2003.
Oh yeah.
Liked it. I don't think I ended up finishing, but you have to remember I played Prince of Persia, the original PC version, where it was a side scroller, and at that time it was kind of revolutionary because of the animations, like the way that they kind of did him running and jumping and fighting.
It was sick.
It was revolutionary at the time. And Sands of Time was a pretty cool modern remake, or not remake, but kind of sequel in 2003, and now they're remaking that game. They showed off the trailer for that. Looked cool.
Yeah,
Far
good,
Cry
actually.
VR. Which one? Far Cry VR
No,
or Prince of Persia?
because I like Prince of Persia. I didn't play the original until like after the first two games. The original that you played, the side scroller one. It's funny because whenever I think of that side scroller one, I think of how Disney's Aladdin had a game where they just straight up ripped it off, like way back in the day. They made it. They were like, yeah, let's make an Aladdin game and let's make it exactly like Prince of Persia.
Yeah.
But dude, Prince of Persia: Sands of Time is hands down one of my favorite games of all time. I finished it twice. It's just such a good game, and we haven't had a good Prince of Persia game in a long time. The last Prince of Persia game we had from my that I remember at least was on the PS3, and it was like it had this beautiful art style, but it wasn't gameplay wise. It was completely different from any Prince of Persia game. But I love the series. I hope that this does well and it makes money, and that they remake the next two sequels as well, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see that. It looks good. It doesn't look amazing, but it looks it doesn't look like it's from the ground up either. You know what I mean? It could be like some of the levels could be, but the cutscenes, like, they're, for the most part, they're matching the original stuff. So considering that it's just been like retextured, it looks good. Considering that it's not from the ground up, you know, like I think it looks as good as it's gonna be, all things considered. Yeah.
They're not gonna remodel everything. You know what I mean? Just upgrade textures.
Oh, I'm 100% dropping money on that. Like, I'm 100% dropping money on that. That's the easiest buy of 2021 for me. January 21, 2021. Let's go.
And then the Far Cry thing, VR, I got excited at first, and then I realized, oh, it's a physical location. VR. Remember they had announced
like an experience.
They had announced what was it? Was it Prince of Persia? Which one also did a VR experience, and then you realize, oh, it's only at a physical experience one.
Was it Star Wars?
No. Star Wars
did a bunch. Yeah, Star Wars did a bunch. Yeah. There's one in LA that you think there's one in LA, but I think it's the one you're thinking of, but I forget what it is. Or like they had it on for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, that's Prince of Persia has their own VR escape room, but it's not. See, I got excited when Prince of Persia VR was announced, and Far Cry VR was announced, but then I realized these are physical location ones. Not that those aren't great. I've done them before. I've done whatchamacallit, the Star Wars one and the Avengers one at the Void. I'm not saying those aren't cool, but one, we're in a pandemic right now, so you won't be going to any of these either. And second, I'm much more interested in the VR home experiences that you can have. So I was hoping that Far Cry VR was going to be something at home. Same with Prince of Persia. So anything else that you saw or heard at Ubisoft that you want to talk about?
Couple of things. Riders Republic caught my eye because no one really takes a risk on making a extreme sports game. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, for instance, the last extreme sport game we got was a remake, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. You know what I mean? No one really takes the plunge on taking a risk. So the last big extreme sports game, if you will, that we had was Steep. You know what I mean? That was a big game, came out with that was in conjunction with Red Bull. So now, yeah, I liked Steep. I enjoyed it a lot. It's basically just this giant mountain. You get to snowboard, ski, you get to wingsuit, you get a jetpack, like the Red Bull jetpack, similar to the one that the guy was caught flying near LAX. But it's a great game, but it's all winter related. So this Riders Republic game, it looks like someone took the exact same idea, but they decided, hey, if we're having a giant mountain, why not? Let's just do half of it snow, and that way the other half people can do mountain biking or motocross. You know what I mean? Not just like have it strictly stuck to snow. So I like that. They just added more options, like mountain biking, for instance. But they've also got the wingsuit gliding. It looks. I don't know if it's going to do well because looks wise, it's one of those things where like if you have Steep, just play Steep. Don't get this next one. But then again, this has got like the mountain biking included. And then we also saw some more footage on Immortals: Phoenix Rising. Not only that, but if you guys watch a lot of YouTube gaming videos, you guys may have noticed that they actually sent out a code to a lot of people to start playing, like to play a bit of it. And so I've been watching a lot of gameplay videos, and it is looking less and less like a Zelda clone. The more and more I see of it, like I remember that first trailer where everyone was like Zelda clone right off the bat. How are they not getting sued? You know what I mean? It straight up looked like Legend of Zelda, but like its own different little art style. But now I'm looking at it, it's a lot more like Souls orientated in terms of its combat. The game looks beautiful. It does look stunning. The version I saw, it looks like they gave people a character that was already like fully geared out, so he was using like ultimate abilities and stuff, but it does look fun. That's the biggest thing I could pull away from it. And it still has the open world. It has that open world Zelda feel to it, but gameplay wise, it does look fairly different, which is a good thing, I think. So that did catch my eye. But other than that, nothing else really caught my eye.
Well, speaking of Zelda, the next thing we're going to talk about, I know people complain we don't talk about Nintendo enough. I think it's one, I don't have a Nintendo Switch. I think Dorian has one. You don't have one either, right?
No. Does Dorian have one? Me and Dorian have been trying to get one. He may have gotten one before me.
I thought Dorian had one. I think he got it for like Pokemon or something like that.
No, we've been e-begging for a while now.
Yeah. But anyways, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity was announced. They showed a trailer. This is interesting. I don't have a Nintendo Switch, but if I did, I would buy this game. It seems like a lot of fun. They've had Hyrule Warriors before in the past. I love this art style, this anime style. Much different than the Breath of the Wild. It takes place 100 years before Breath of the Wild, and if I've played Dynasty Warrior games. Dynasty Warrior games.
Just Warrior games in general. That whole company.
And so I like this idea of blending this world together with it. It looks very cool. What do you think?
I'm a huge fan of the Warriors series in general. Like I also played a lot of Dynasty Warriors. I enjoy Dynasty Warriors, but whenever that studio takes on like a third party job from someone else, and whenever they do something like this, I love it. Like mixing the Warriors series with Legend of Zelda, like you said, has been one before, but I just love it because if you've played any Warriors game before, essentially you're just like beating up hordes and hordes of people, but in like these epic moves where it's like one move is you knocking over like 15 people, you know what I mean? And you're taking on like hundreds of people at a time, and it's just so much fun, most recently I played One Piece Pirate Warriors 4, which came out earlier this year from the same people, more or less the same style, and it looks great. Art style for me still looks very similar to Breath of the Wild, but like a bit more contrast, if you will, or like more shadows. It's like a bit heavier on the shadows, which makes it a bit more dramatic, I think. But dude, it's gonna be fun. Like it's one of those things where I know what to expect. It's just gonna be fun. Like any Warriors game has been fun. There's not much depth to it, but it's like, who cares? It's just mindless beat 'em up action. That's what I like about it.
Yeah, a lot of fun. Those games are, and you can play co-op with them too. With your friends, and you can control the armies. I don't know. So, if I had a Switch, I definitely would buy it. I think for me with the Switch is like I just don't do a lot of mobile gaming. Period. And then especially in this pandemic, like where am I going now? You know what I mean? Where am I going? At home. I'm sitting in front of this computer like all the time. Like so I don't know. I know you can hook up to your TV and play as well.
Yeah.
But what
No, I
I'm
mean,
saying is one of the
I love
benefits of
mobile
a Switch
gaming,
is
man.
being able to do both. Huh?
I love
You're a
mobile
big mobile
gaming.
game.
Like, well, I hate mobile games, but if I had a Switch, dude, I would. Well,
Mm.
mind you, it's a double-edged sword. If I had a Switch, I would probably be like really round and overweight because I would and I'd be so out of shape because there would be no purpose to leave my bed if I had a Switch. You know what I mean? Like if I can do all my like if I can like do some AAA gaming in bed, I'm gonna do that. It's probably best that I don't have a Switch then. But yeah, no, I like mobile gaming for just for the sake of you can get as comfortable as you want. You know what I mean? That's the best part about it. Um, man, it's yeah, no, I think it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to the next one. Call of Duty Black Ops: The Cold War multiplayer official reveal trailer came out. I had to tell you, this got me pumped. Like I haven't played Black Ops. I'll be honest with you. I haven't played Call of Duty in a while. I haven't hopped on the whole Warzone bandwagon. You know, they strayed away from with Blackout from the single player campaigns, you know.
Yeah.
I just haven't been really into them. I know last year's Modern Warfare kind of went back to the roots and focused on the campaign, but I didn't get a chance to play this. Black Ops was one of my favorite Call of Duties, and the fact that they're kind of keeping along lines of storyline and kind of I don't know, this trailer just made it seem a lot of fun. You know, it was, you know, with the whole Notorious song and then just all the different locations jumping around. I thought that was a lot of fun. It got me hyped for it, even though I haven't played
It looks great,
Black
man.
Ops. Yeah. Even though I haven't played a Call of Duty game in a while, I think this one might be my re-entry back into the franchise.
Yeah, it's I mean, I haven't read up much about this, so like I think I think I posed this question last time we spoke about it, which is that whenever I see any of this, I mean, last time we saw single player footage, and it's like, okay, that makes sense. You're in a single player campaign, of course, you're going to be in vehicles every now and then, like a lot of Call of Duty games. But now I'm seeing vehicle gameplay in the multiplayer trailer, so now I'm thinking, did they add vehicles? Is there like, are the maps going to be bigger for them to have? Because a lot of the maps sizes, at least like that I'm thinking on like previous Call of Duty games I've played, aren't big enough for you to need a vehicle. You know what I mean? Except for some sniper maps, but then it's like you're not going to be in a vehicle because you're a sniper. You want to avoid the noise, you know. But it looks intense. There's even some like there was some underwater combat at a certain point in time with the dude dude, it looks intense. But more than anything, I'm blown away by the graphics. Yes, this is I don't know if this is what it's going to look like on console or on PC or however you're gonna play it. I don't know if that's.
I
I don't know.
believe that was on a PS5 or 4. Or sorry, let me double
Dude,
check.
that looked great.
That's it at the
honestly.
very beginning.
Yeah, that genuinely.
Yeah,
I'm
I
very impressed.
believe
I was
it
impressed with the graphics.
Yeah, looked cool. It just looked fun.
Yeah. I didn't get to play. I didn't get to buy the previous one, which I know on a previous video, I think someone complained saying saying that I didn't talk much about Call of Duty, but they're like, but I say that I play it, and I want to specify I play Warzone, which is free. I do not own Call of Duty Modern Warfare. I wish I did because it still has the best multiplayer options, in my opinion. Like I don't know what the multiplayer modes are going to be in this next Call of Duty mode, but I hope that they keep the assault game mode because I really want to buy Modern Warfare, the one that came out last year, just to play the assault game mode, that 2v2 game mode. I really hope that they keep that in because that's sick. Like, well, considering how successful it was on Modern Warfare, I'm going to assume that they're going to keep it in as a game mode. You know?
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. It says PlayStation 5. All that footage on that reveal trailer was PlayStation 5.
That looked sick. Oh
yeah. Looks like a lot of fun. All right. Next one we have is GameStop closing 400 plus more stores this year. I'm sure, look, they were already not doing well, but this pandemic has just made things worse for them. Apparently, their online sales have risen 800%, but that was actually underneath what they expected. They just aren't able to compete against Amazon. And also, you know, the problem is all these digital purchases you can just buy straight from your
Exactly. Yeah.
console. Like I bought the UFC 4 straight from the console, in the digital store. So it's just very hard to compete when everything is going digital and you have physical locations. And then secondly, your digital store is not, it's hard to compete against that.
Yeah. I mean, like I'm reading up more about this, and it's unfortunate that COVID-19 happened because I remember it wasn't their initial plan, but they were doing like a trial era of trying to
Yes.
basically turn these GameStops into like community centers. And I
Yeah.
I freaking love that idea because we spend so much of our times like this right now in a virtual setting where we don't actually see real people or talk to real people. Like I miss the days of like when you back in the day when you were like a gamer or just like a geeky nerd person, like you didn't have such a huge community online. You didn't have online. You had to go down to your local gaming store on the weekend. You want to play some D&D, you got to speak to the people there. You know what I mean? You want to do any kind of I miss the days of tabletop gaming, you know what I mean? Like even that it's like struggling to make its move to digital online. I thought that would have done really well. Maybe not so much in like big cities, but in more like smaller cities and more like rural areas and like middle America, I could see GameStop doing well as a community center where you do like meetups and like you do like board game weekdays, or you do LANs, you know what I mean, or do local competitions at a
Mhm.
GameStop. That could genuinely have saved it. But with the way things are looking for the future, you can't invest in a social space. You can't like turn your stores into social
Yeah.
spaces currently, unless the world just
Exact
goes back to
opposite of
normal
what's
next
happening
year.
right now.
Exactly, yeah. Unless the world goes back to normal next year. Um,
Even then,
yeah,
remember, even with, let's say, a vaccine and new protocols and whatever, it's going to be a slow
it's gonna take so long. They
build,
would have
right?
lost everything by then.
It's not going to be like turn on this switch. Okay, everything's back to normal. It's going to be like, okay, this slow thing where, okay, we can all go back out. Things are slowly opening. You still got to wear masks. Maybe we still have to reduce the amount of people
Because
in a
well, that would
given
be the new
space. You know what
normal.
I
You know what
mean?
I mean? Yeah,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
would be like the
So
new
it's not,
normal. We're
it's,
not going back to the old normal for sure. Whatever the new normal is, companies are going to have to figure out a way to change. And if they don't have the time, they're going to unfortunately die out, I think. Um, you know what? I mean, another thing that they could have done, and mind you, they have done it, but they didn't obviously put all their money and investments into it, which is to turn GameStop into more of a clothing brand than a gaming brand. You know what I mean? Or at least a geek apparel brand. Like I think of one of my favorite websites used to be Think Geek. I don't know if they're still around or
yeah.
if they're
They
still
got
making a good chunk of money.
purchased. They got purchased by Hot Topic, actually. Hot Topic
Yeah,
bought ThinkGeek.
yeah. If GameStop had to buy Think Geek and they like went in that route, I think that GameStop could still be making money if they did like if they specialized more in apparel and like those types of things. You know what I mean? Like because the majority of my money that I spent at GameStop last year was on like t-shirts or like hoodies or beanies or
Yeah.
socks. You know what I
Or,
mean? Or coffee mugs. Like.
most of the time, I bought Funkos and mini,
Mm,
the mini ones,
yeah.
mystery minis. And there were, yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
I haven't bought any like actual game stuff from then a long
And
time.
you
So
you can get all that stuff on Amazon too, but it's like if they
yeah,
had to make their I mean they do have their own GameStop brand of
they have
clothing, but
exclusives.
if they had to really push more in that direction, obviously like I said, too late now, but if they did for like the past 5 years, I think that could have at least saved their ass somewhat in terms of regardless of COVID-19, they were struggling. You know what I mean? Like
Yes. Yeah.
everybody's losing a Jeff. Every single day, everybody's losing a good old Jeff Bezos. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like as much as I want to support local, out here I have to support local because there is no Amazon. But in America, dude, you're not gonna not use Amazon. You know what I mean? It's too convenient.
Yeah. I mean,
So
it's too
yeah,
convenient. Also, you're trying to reduce the amount of times that you need to go outside. So, yeah.
if
So
GameStop had pushed their own apparel, they could have put it on Amazon. You know what I mean? If they pushed more of their own brand created stuff and like their own created plushies where they tie in with companies, they could have put those on Amazon and still been making money without stores. You know.
yeah.
But anyways,
So.
shoulda, coulda, woulda, too late.
Also, who knows if that plan would have helped in terms of the social space. I think
Mm.
the biggest issue I have with that, not that it isn't a good idea, it's that I don't know if their current facilities can accommodate that because most GameStops that I see are in malls are very small and they just
Yeah.
aren't, they just aren't
They could
made
fit
to be
like 20
social
people max, you
spaces.
know what I mean? I think like what max
Yeah,
occupancy on some of those are like I think 35 people. And that's like even then that's like
less.
too much in a GameStop probably. Like at most you'd probably yeah, I think we spoke about this last time when they opted the plan, which is also like how would you even price that? Or do you like price that around time or you pay by the hour that you're in there? Because someone can just show up, pay the entry fee to get into the social space and just chill there the whole day. And if maximum occupancy is 20 people, that's money you're losing technically. You know what I mean? Or money like, you know, you're burning electricity. It's a weird thing as to how they would even have like I don't know. It's interesting. It's just interesting seeing retail stores change. You know, like retail stores have changed a lot in the past 10 years. I even think of a store like Hot Topic. You know, you don't really see Hot Topics, but I think they still do fairly well with online sales, you know?
Hmm. All right, let's move on. Next one, we got Ninja. He's returning back to Twitch for his exclusive multi-year deal. He left Twitch originally to go to Mixer for money, even though he said it was for other reasons as well. But that was all PR talk. Then he kind of went back and forth between YouTube and Twitch. Now he's signed another exclusive deal with Twitch. Makes sense. What do you think?
I just wonder how much it is. You know what I mean? Because also, like, it's
I don't
obviously
think
got to
I've.
be
Yeah.
drastically. It's got to be drastically less. Because look, there's no huge competitor. Like, you got YouTube Gaming, which is a competitor. Fair enough. You know what I mean? But also, like, Twitch knew. I think, although anybody who watches Ninja, anybody in that whole like live stream world, they know that Ninja preferably would have wanted to go back to Twitch. Twitch would have preferably wanted Ninja on their
Yeah.
platform. It was the preferable like plan. Same with Shroud. His preference was to be on Twitch as well. You know what I mean? Because then all of his friends are there, etc., etc. So I saw it happening, but I it's got to be for drastically less. Like what I think his Mixer deal was 30 million, right? But mind you, that was for like I don't know how many years that was for. You know, it's they still say it's multi-million dollars, but it can't be anything more
Yeah.
than 10 in my mind. You know,
Well, I think for him it doesn't really matter because I'm
because he
sure
just
he got.
walked away with 30 million bucks
Yeah, I don't know
from
how
his
much he
last
actually
deal.
got from that, but I'm sure there was some sort of
True,
upfront
true.
payment. It must have been something in the contract that said if they shut down X amount or
Yeah,
whatever.
there
So
had to be because they were still starting out. You got a good point. So yeah, I mean, they definitely walked away with a decent amount of the money, but yeah. Oh yeah, so that's no, actually no. We spoke about that before. I forgot. Logic also signed with Twitch. I forgot about that. The
yeah,
rapper.
yeah,
And then Post Malone bought an esports team. Very interesting how the worlds are kind of colliding. A doctor disrespected a stream of Snoop Dogg the other day in Madden. That was also interesting. Look, it was bound to happen. I figured this would have happened sooner, but then again, we know how long legal battles, not legal battles, but we know how long negotiating can take. Considering that Ninja, there's definitely a whole at this point in time, there's definitely a whole team of people working behind Ninja. It's not just his wife anymore. You know what I
yeah, yeah,
mean?
yeah.
I'm sure his wife still runs the show in terms of management, but there's got to be like a whole team of PR people and lawyers and everything. So there's probably a long, like they were probably negotiating for a while. I just figured that this would have happened sooner. You know?
Hmm.
And that's all. But yeah, I'm happy for him. Happy that he's finally got a home again, and I'm glad that he signed a good deal because like he did it. Like we don't know if he needed the money or not, but I'm thinking like when you sign a $30 million contract, your life changes. You know what I mean? So maybe who knows? Maybe he had like plans on how to use that money, and he committed to certain plans and now he can't because he doesn't have the money or I don't either way. I'm just glad he has that money again so that his lifestyle doesn't have to change, which is a weird thing to say, you know what I mean? But
Hmm.
because I understand the state of the world, I understand everybody, like no one should have that much kind of money, but I respect the guy's grind. I don't know. It's
Oh,
yeah, I'm glad it happened.
I just, I just checked out Twitter, and there's actually announcement from PlayStation that they're doing their showcase on Wednesday
Oh,
at 1
okay,
p.m.
sick.
Pacific. So
Gonna be soon, yeah.
that's pretty sure that's when they're going to announce the pricing and then whatever else. So, yeah.
Yeah. Hmm. All right. Yeah, no, I'm happy for him. Good for him, man. Good for him. Still really curious as to what the hell happened to Dr. Disrespect because we're never gonna find out why the hell he was banned, dude. He keeps telling people he doesn't know why he was banned. I don't believe it, but I don't care. He's still making content, so I'm
Mhm.
happy about that.
Yeah. All right, the last thing I have on my list, this is nothing big deal, but EA responded to fan backlash about ads in UFC 4, and they took them down. Basically, they were doing this ad integration in for the replays. So like, it's in real sports when you watch anything basketball, football, whatever, baseball, they'll have replay cameras of some highlights, and it will be like sponsored by so and so, and they're like, this replay is brought to you by whatever, Red Bull or whatnot. And so UFC 4 had an integrated ad that had basically the dynamic ones, because I don't know if you know, but like a lot of ads now in games are dynamic, where like they can actually change them in and out depending on who's paying them. Um, and so they were doing that for the replays, and I guess people got upset. They got taken down. It happens in the real, like when you watch UFC for real. In the game, it didn't really bother me that much, but apparently it bothered some other people. To me, it just felt like what happens in the real. In the
It
real,
just adds some realism, you know what I mean?
yeah, it didn't bother me. Like to me, like look, I don't want like to play a game and like, for example, play Last of Us Part 2 and suddenly like there's a giant like whatever Coca-Cola advertisement on the side of a building for no reason. I don't want that. I'm not saying that I want that. But what I'm saying is like if it's in there and it's not like completely like takes you out of the thing, which this one doesn't, because I watch UFC and they have that. So to me, it's not that big of a deal. The only thing I would say is maybe if they're getting paid for that, drop the price a little bit, man.
True,
drop
actually, you
the
got a
price
good point.
down.
You got a
Like
good
make
point.
it, instead of $60, make it 55.
It's like
And then
Hulu with ads. You can get
yeah.
Hulu for cheaper. You just gotta watch ads. I'm cool with that. That actually, they would never do that, but I love that. I love that suggestion. That's a great suggestion. Like instead of paying $60 for the game, you can pay $40, but then it comes with more in-game advertising. I can kind of live with that because, like you said, I haven't experienced it. I still haven't played the new UFC yet, but I don't see
Oh,
it bothering me. I don't
great.
see it bothering me whatsoever. Like I don't. I'm not gonna give a shit. For me, it just adds more realism. And it's also one of those things where it's expected. I thought that they would have done it sooner. Like I have played other sport games in the past where they've done this, but they usually do it as a gag. Like they'll have a gag brand, you know what I mean? Like this camera's brought to you by this company. It'll be like a gag or something, but it just I don't know. Like also when I read about this, it was like a kind of like a duh moment. Like why wasn't this a thing in the previous UFCs? Or like why isn't this a thing in baseball? Like it's probably I can see people adding it in for sure. You know what I mean? Um, what's weird to think of is that like if this becomes a thing in the future for all other games, is that we're gonna see like you said, we're gonna see these things happen more often, but it's gonna be from like
Hmm.
brands you're not expecting to be tied to the sport, like Nvidia graphics cards. You know what I mean? this
Yeah.
this fight brought to you by the RTX 3080. It's gonna be interesting. Yeah, I'm not bothered by it. I can see why people would complain if it was shoved down your throat, like if they overdid it, like
Yeah.
like there was this constant like replay every like 2-3 minutes from it. But
Yeah.
if it's just like real life watching a game, then it adds a certain sense of realism for me. And I hope that
Uh,
they stick to realistic brands as well, like the same brands that they would use for. No, ooh, well, like I don't know, how would they do that? What's the age restriction on UFC for? That's not a rated R, is it?
I'm not sure. Let me double check.
Because if it's rated R, then I think they can get away with advertising like beer, for instance. You know what I mean? Like Budweiser. Budweiser is always sponsoring UFC events. Horrible
Teen.
beer.
It's teen,
Teen.
not MA. So
So yeah, I mean their advertising is already limited. They're not going to have the majority of UFC sponsors on there.
yeah. Uh, all right. That's all I have. Do you have anything you wanted to talk about that happened this week?
I haven't checked out this scandal. Ubisoft CEO addresses recent company scandals.
Yeah, he
Apologize.
said that in the Ubisoft Forward. It was,
Uh,
I mean, it's one of those standard things where the CEO has to say something, and then so the PR team writes something for him to read.
yeah. There. Yeah. I mean, there's a bunch of other news things related to comic book worlds, but not really related to gaming. So I don't think it's worth bringing up. But oh yes, just because it is gaming related, and we spoke about next gen GPUs, AMD is going to have an October showcase for their next gen GPUs.
Mhm.
And yeah, so well, they got two events planned next month for the next generation Radeon graphics card. A couple other things. I'm looking forward to seeing that personally. Uh, it's yeah, they're showing off the RDNA 2, which is something that they're going to use in the PS5 and the Xbox Series X. So I'm looking forward to seeing that personally. A couple other small things just worth bringing up. Minecraft is coming to PSVR, which from everybody
Oh,
who has
cool.
played Minecraft in VR, apparently Minecraft it just works in VR. It just works. Everyone I know that's played, they just said it works and they love it. It's great. So look forward to that. You can play Minecraft on PSVR later this month. Yeah, that's about it. Like I said, other than we got some box art for some PS5 games, but that's about it. I'm not too sure if I like it though, because it looks like, you know how like each console gen they come up with like specific CD cases or like the colors, and it looks like they
Yeah.
decided to stick with the whole white design of the PS5,
Mhm.
and it looks like most the CD cases are like, like has the it'll have the PS logo on the top, like
Yeah.
PS4, and then but now it has like PS5 and then a white banner underneath it. I just don't like it. I don't know. It doesn't.
Mm.
It's weird because it kind of like it puts off any of the all the art I'm seeing is just it's immediately distracted by this white banner where the PS5 strips on top of it. It's horrible. Yeah. No. Um, but yeah, 'cause just some at least so now I know what the discs are going to look like. They're still using that blue casing, you know what I mean? Like the the
Yeah.
blue like DVD casing. They're still using that casing, but just I don't know, man. I hate how it's just this white stripe and then the PS5 logo on top of it. It looks horrible. But yeah, that's about it.
All right. Cool. All right. Wrap things up. Where can people find you?
You guys can find me right here on the Collider Games channel. I'll be
Still working on your
streaming
socials?
with Dorian every now and then. It's harder than you think, man. Like, because I had something in mind, but it's so difficult to find like to come up with a good like channel name that's not taken on YouTube. That's clean, you know. I don't want to add a bunch of numbers at the end or like anything like that. I want it to be easily accessible to people. So I'm trying to come up with something that's fairly unique and it doesn't sound too bad and it's like easy to come up in your search settings. So I've been struggling with that, specifically with YouTube. In terms of like all the other platforms like Twitch, Instagram, Twitter, those things are easy to get your to get a good username for, because I can also just, if someone happens to have it, I can literally just message them, offer them actual money, and then buy their name from them, which I have done before. I've done that on Instagram before. Just to like match my my accounts, I ended up buying a name from someone for like $5 or $10. They didn't give a shit, so easy money for them. But no, not yet. Right now, for the time being, you guys can find me right here on the Collider Games channel. I'll be streaming with Dorian, and I'm getting a green screen pretty soon, which I'm excited about, as well as a ring light. So hopefully, you guys can give me the account details, and I can start streaming when you guys are asleep. I'll get those European viewers for us.
Cool. And you guys can find me on Twitter at ThinkHero or Instagram @tzng. Subscribe to this YouTube channel, youtube.com/Collider Games. Also, our podcast feed, that's Collider Factory feed every single week. Hopefully, Dorian will be joining us back next week. Also, check out, we have our Avengers review up, and then we're going to do a spoilers review soon, I think, with actually Caboose might be joining us.
Oh,
So
yeah.
check that out as well. So until next time, see you guys later.